So we got together today to talk about your startup PKI and the recent acquisition from UiPath.
Yep.
Um, how did it all start? If you can tell us more about the beginnings of Peak.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the history of Peak is very much centered in data and decision making in businesses. So even the reason we're called Peak, what we wanted to do was build a technology business that helped our customers optimize the performance of their business using data. And as we started on that journey, we very quickly realized that the customers that were using Peak's products for, like, let's just call them predictive decision making using machine learning and artificial intelligence to optimize decisions and then aggregate those into processes and so on, were the ones who were being most successful. So if we take a step back and introduce Peak to you in that sense, Peak is a platform that companies use to run decision making AIs on, but we have a number of AIs that are already built, ready to go, fast to deploy, easy to configure. And they do things like forecast demand, optimize product inventory, set pricing of products, things like that. So we typically help companies that are managing those types of problems, like retailers or manufacturers or consumer packaged goods companies, optimize those processes using AI. But if we go all the way back to the start, it very much links to it. It was sort of obvious to us that companies that were using data to optimize decision making were going to perform better than the companies that weren't. But not everyone was doing it. And we tried to help democratize that capability by building software that enable people to access it more freely and easily.
You founded the company 10 years ago, back when artificial intelligence was more of machine learning than the current generative AI era. How
Yeah.
was the building of the platform back?
Yeah. Well, interestingly, when we started the business, we had the idea, but we didn't know what the product response was going to be to the market problem. Like we hadn't decided what product to build yet, if that makes sense. So as we started to work with different companies and understand their problem more deeply, we had the idea of building Peak as a cloud native data platform. And that was the first version of Peak. And then what happened was that companies started to use that to run machine learning on top of and use the machine learning to optimize their decisions and processes and so on. So if we go back to it, yeah, we were very much in the predictive AI wave initially. And I would say that a lot of things were new. Technology was new. Cloud was relatively new for most businesses. And so two things has happened. One, there's more services available. It's easier to build to build products with the types of technologies we use today. And of course, we're in the generative era now. So we have access to even more AI technologies, which can help us deliver on our mission for our customers. But the other thing that's happened is that enterprise maturity, both from a data and a cloud transformation perspective, has accelerated a lot. So 5 or 6 years ago, our customers, couldn't put their hands on their data as easily as they can today, and they couldn't integrate Peak with their other business systems as easily as they can today. So two things have changed, and that's really seeing us now grow. We're growing faster and faster, and yeah, I would say benefiting from this new wave, the generative wave, having first built the company originally during that predictive machine learning wave.
Um, I was about to ask about the reception in the industry of your services. What was
Yeah.
it?
Well, I think, the industry itself wasn't really set. And we felt for a long time we were creating a category for decisioning machine learning AI applications. And I think for that reason, when you feel like you're saying something that other people aren't, we were quite we were contrarian in that sense. We were saying there's a better way, there's a different way. This is how you should, to our customers, this is how you should run your business, but also to VCs and other people in the tech industry, that we saw things differently. That it wasn't just about being another SaaS product. It was about the big prize here being the ability to harness this technology at scale in the enterprise, and that needed a different type of product. So I would say that, like, skepticism in many regards, our sales pitches often had to convince people that AI was the way they were going to run their business. So from a customer perspective, that we spent a lot of years trying to convince people of that. We don't have to do that anymore. Everyone sees it. And then from a sort of general tech ecosystem perspective, there's a bit of groupthink that happens there. Flavor of the day and type, like, people get stuck, I think, a little bit on prevailing wisdom that is not always correct when you approach it from a first principles perspective, which we always did. And our view was being different in a number of different ways. Firstly, the company that's going to be successful in this space is going to give the technology, but also help customers hand in hand and provide professional services to their customers to make the software successful, especially when the category is being formed. And there's two reasons for that. One, because in doing that work, you can feed back product features into the product. And two, because the customer doesn't have those skills. So early on, you're going to have to help give them that lift. I think we've shown that. I think other companies like Palantir have shown that. But back when we were like raising investment rounds years ago, it wasn't something that people talked about. Software companies also doing services alongside, and that was one battle we had to push. And then another one, quite honestly, was that I always believed that the value in AI space was going to accrue into the application layer, not in the cloud layer, not in the tooling layer, but in the application layer. And I think that over the long term, I'll be proven correct. But at the time, it was very fashionable for venture funds and other people to invest in tools to do, specific things, data munging, or like parallelizing models, or X, Y, or Z. All of these things are like a means to an end, and the end is companies using machine learning to run their business. And so, for me, the value was never going to accrue to the tooling and infrastructure layers at scale, and once the category is mature. And I think that we're showing that now. But if you think the same as everyone else and do the same as everyone thinks, then you won't create a unique business. So I think we've shown the way there.
Now that you were acquired by UiPath, how will that change BKI?
Well, it's an exciting time, like we are going from being, backed by VC and are an independent company into a much bigger organization. And the reason it's exciting is for two reasons. Like, one, it's very, very difficult, and it's hard, and it's very expensive to reach like escape velocity when it comes to enterprise software. Very, very few companies in the world ever get to the size of UiPath. They have, more than 10,000 customers using their software. Enterprise software sales cycles take a long time, which makes them expensive, and it's hard to get that distribution. So it's a very rare and incredible feat, really, what UiPath have managed to do originally, because UiPath itself is not that old as a company. So us going into UiPath, then we get incredible distribution for our product as part of the UiPath family, which we're really excited about. We now have, more than 10,000 businesses that eventually, as our product grows, we can sell to, which is exciting. And I think we want to win the category, and I think it's a great place for us to win the category as part of a bigger organization that can give us that. And then the second reason that it's really exciting is because we are moving now, obviously, into the generative and now agentic AI era. And I truly believe that the eventual winner in that space is going to have a product portfolio of capabilities that does many things. First of all, we need to be able to automate and connect to lots of different systems in the enterprise to realize the value of AI, because AI on its own that doesn't do anything is only a useful chat tool. In order to use it in the enterprise, we need to connect it into other business systems, and we need to be able to trust the AIs doing those things. So a way to control that, to govern it, to orchestrate it, and to coordinate it is super, super important. And that is UiPath's strength. On top of that, they're building a lot of agentic capabilities, both from building agents, but running agents at scale in the enterprise. And then, of course, with Peak on top, we have specific, like vertical versions of those agentic AIs that can act in specific industries and also make great business decisions using the like mathematical capability of our predictive engines. So all of those things together, I think, is the winning formula here, not one thing on its own. And I think that that's a really exciting thing for us because the AI wave has happened, and now it's happening again in this new one. And I think this new one is going to be the defining one. And to be part of a business and part of the UiPath family, knowing that we, I think, have an amazing chance at providing all the value in the world that our customers need, and therefore have a great chance at winning the category overall is really, really quite exciting for us.
Do you have any advice for the aspiring AI startups that you may have learned in your experience?
Yeah, I think my main advice, which I think is true in either era, the predictive era or the generative era, is to focus on the business outcome that you want to achieve. Or let's just call it the outcome full stop, because maybe you're building consumer products and consumer tools, not business tools, but or products. But either way, focus on the value you create. If your product creates value, then value will accrue to you. And I think that that's really important when we have such a high potential and ubiquitous technology here at our fingertips. We could attack lots of different problems. And I think a very common mistake is for technology founders to take a technology and go looking for a problem. And I think if starting the other way around and understanding the problem deeply allows you to then choose the right technology. And I think what you'll see actually are these hybrid implementations of AI in the enterprise, where some things are done in business systems, some things are done by RPA type software, some things are done by agents, some things are done by decisioning AIs, but all of it together will amount to a capability that is different. That's just in our space, but there's many other spaces there where it's not just about an agent doing something, it's about the thing that it's doing and what's the best way to do it. And if you think about that first, put yourself in the customer's shoes, create value for them, then value will be created for you. If you just go around looking to solve problems with a piece of technology that you don't deeply understand, then you won't naturally be as successful as if you put the value first.
Well, those were my questions. Thank you a lot for responding to them and for being
welcome.
here.
Thanks, Razvan. I appreciate the time.